The thesis for cryptocurrencies just got 10 times stronger. In this video, I want to talk about something that's happening in real time right now that I believe is going to be a game changer in creating the biggest bull market we have ever seen going into 2025. This is something that we predicted was going to happen. It's something we hoped would happen. It's something we have watched slowly play out. But to see it happening right now in a extremely bullish scenario, honestly more bullish than I would have ever expected, is something that not even I fully anticipated. So guys, I want to start off this video and just really quickly say thank you so much for bearing with me with this video. I know audio is not going to be perfect. I'm on my last day of my vacation, but I've missed making these videos so much. I've missed a live stream. I've missed interacting with all of you guys. I just wanted to make a video real quick and talk about some of my thoughts around what I believe is going to be one of the biggest catalysts for the cryptocurrency industry going into 2025. And that big catalyst is essentially bipartisan support. What we had for cryptocurrencies over the past 4 years was essentially one party who was kind of pro-crypto, which was the Republicans, and then we had one party who was essentially running an anti-cryptocurrency campaign, which was the Democrats. Because of that, here in the United States, cryptocurrencies were essentially in a stalemate. You couldn't get anything done. While the Republicans were kind of pro-crypto, it really wasn't anything that was a main piece of policy for them. It wasn't anything that was critical on their agenda. They supported it, but they kind of just said they supported it. We really didn't see any action. On the other side of that, the Democrats were running an anti-cryptocurrency army. So in the middle of Terra Luna blowing up, in the middle of FTX blowing up, they were using this as firepower to essentially de facto make it impossible for the cryptocurrency industry to essentially operate in the United States. This was their goal. They passed things like SAB 121 to make it impossible for traditional financial institutions to operate in the cryptocurrency industry, and then we saw them running around essentially calling all these currencies securities, which de facto made them not work. So I think we are really past the worst of the policy for cryptocurrencies in the United States. I think going forward, we're about to see a massive switch. And this is something we have been anticipating, but there was always a big risk factor. The biggest risk factor was that Biden was going to beat Trump, Biden was going to keep someone like Elizabeth Warren in charge, and we were going to go through 4 more years of this regulatory stalemate. I believe this scenario is now officially off the table. When Biden first stepped down, I was extremely worried about who was going to replace him. I was extremely worried that Kamala Harris was just going to take his views on cryptocurrencies and say, okay, well, we're still anti-crypto, and now Kamala now has a better chance of beating Trump. It didn't look like things were going to be good for a minute. But what we are seeing take place right now is actually something that not even I anticipated, and this is why it's actually more bullish than I would have ever expected. Kamala Harris is actually meeting with the main players in the cryptocurrency industry, the Ripples, the Coinbases, the Circles, to talk about how the Democratic Party can change their image when it comes to cryptocurrencies. This is something that I believe cannot be understated in its importance, because it is the Democratic Party officially saying, we give up on being anti-crypto, we understood this was dumb, we understood this wasn't going to get us any new voters, in fact, it's going to turn a lot of voters against us. How do we change our image? And guys, what do you think someone like Ripple, someone like Coinbase, someone like Circle is going to say to the Democratic leaders when it comes to them actually changing their perspective towards the cryptocurrency industry? Well, obviously, the biggest thing, the biggest topic is going to be to get rid of Gary Gensler. Trump, in his speech earlier today, said the first thing he would do if he became president was to actually fire Gary Gensler. What we are seeing is Gary Gensler is becoming a political liability. And if Trump is going to be running a campaign on firing him to be pro-cryptocurrency, and the Democrats are trying to come off as more pro-cryptocurrency, then the Democrats might have to actually force Gary Gensler to resign prior to this election. Or they might just have to fire him to appear more pro-cryptocurrency. This is something that I never anticipated to happen, especially with Biden stepping down. I was worried when Biden stepped down, Kamala Harris was just going to have a better chance of winning than him, and then on top of that, she was going to adopt his anti-crypto viewpoint, or at least his handler's anti-crypto viewpoint. But what we're seeing is that's not the case. The anti-cryptocurrency army is dead and gone. They no longer exist. And the Democratic Party is now writing letters to their own party saying, hey, this whole anti-crypto thing is going to cause us to lose exponential amount of votes, and we literally are not going to stand for it anymore. So what I believe was the biggest risk factor for cryptocurrencies going into 2025, which was essentially another administration who is going to cause a regulatory stalemate, I believe that worst case scenario is now off the table. And now what I believe we are actually going to see is cryptocurrencies become essentially a way for both administrations to try to bring in new voters. They are going to be trying to sound as pro-cryptocurrency as possible. And while I believe they are going to make a lot of offers that don't ultimately get held up, I believe both parties are going to say a lot of things about being pro-cryptocurrency to try to rope people in that aren't going to happen. I don't think it even really matters at this point. The fact that both parties have now capitulated and are now running campaigns on being pro-crypto, showing up to Bitcoin Miami, Trump saying things like Bitcoin's going to the moon, Trump saying things like, oh, the United States is going to stop selling Bitcoin on the open market, RFK saying that we're going to need a Bitcoin strategic reserve. These are all things that were completely unimaginable a couple years ago. These are things we never thought we would hear. A couple years ago, Trump was anti-cryptocurrency. Actually, a couple months ago, Trump was anti-cryptocurrency. Everything is flipping, and that is because the pro-cryptocurrency people out there are thousands of times stronger than the anti-cryptocurrency people. The pro-cryptocurrency people are voting for a change in the financial system, a change in the financial architecture. And they understand that we already have the technology to do this. Cryptocurrencies are those technologies. And it doesn't make any sense for a politician to be running as anti-crypto. And because of that, a lot of the people who are pro-crypto are now single-party voters and are only going to support politicians who are pro-cryptocurrency. Because of this, there is no longer an anti-cryptocurrency army, getting rid of one of the biggest risk factors we faced going into 2025. With this risk factor off the table, I really do believe we are about to go into one of the biggest bullish environments we have ever seen for this industry. There has never been a time in the United States that the government was looking to actively regulate cryptocurrencies in a positive way. There has never been a time in the United States history in which the people who are essentially leading the country were running a pro-cryptocurrency policy trying to keep innovation in the United States. For the longest time, the largest economy on earth, the economy with all the money, the economy with all the big banks, all the investment companies, this economy was barred from touching crypto. Things like SAB-21 literally made it impossible for companies in the United States who are not working with crypto to touch it. And because of this, essentially the rest of the world sat back and said, okay, well, if the United States isn't touching it, we're not going to touch it, we'll experiment with it. But you know what? A lot of our banking relationships are in the United States, so there's no easy way for us to adopt this. All of this is going to change going into 2025, and I believe that confirms we are about to see the first institutional-led bull run we have ever seen. Cryptocurrencies are the first asset class in history in which we were able to invest before the big institutions. We were able to build positions before the big institutions. And because of that, we were able to front run them and get access and gain ownership to these protocols before they went mainstream. Guys, I don't know how to tell this to people, but the big banks out there, the big investment firms, are not going to be creating their own protocols. Yes, they might have some back-end protocols they use, but they're not going to be creating public protocols. The public protocols they are going to be using are already in the market. We already know about them. We have already been researching them. We have already been reading BIS reports mentioning them. We have already been reading JP Morgan reports mentioning them. All these big banks are already telling you tokenization's coming, and public protocols are going to be the future of this next generation financial system. A quote from BlackRock literally said, hey, we thought private blockchains were going to dominate. We were wrong. It's going to be public blockchains. So the question is, if we finally do have a pro-cryptocurrency environment when it comes to regulations in the United States, and we are in a position where the big institutions are telling you, hey, this technology is going to completely change the way we do business, then does this mean we are literally on the precipice of the biggest bull run we have ever seen? Institutions finally able to allocate capital and use these systems for their full intended purpose. Guys, I do believe that is what we're about to see. One of the most interesting things I always come back to is a quote from JP Morgan. They said if Ripple is able to beat the SEC in court, XRP is going to be poised for mass adoption. Why did they say that? Because they understand that what XRP can do is fundamentally different than any other financial vehicle out there. They understand that Ripple is making progress or exponential progress with their business because they are able to do things that are not possible in the traditional financial system. The only thing that could stop this industry, the only thing that could stop this technology was if regulators were to crack down on it and they were essentially making it de facto illegal. Because that scenario is now off the table, because both parties are now pushing for a pro-cryptocurrency environment, I believe that all but confirms that we are on a path now for essentially a cryptocurrency-led institutional bull run that is going to completely change the entire financial system forever. Guys, I don't think a lot of people fully appreciate how big this is. There's a lot of excitement about the ETFs and whatever, but I believe this is really 10 times bigger. I believe one of the biggest risk factors we faced is now off the table, and despite the fact that I still do think that Republicans would probably be better for cryptocurrencies, I believe a lot of what the Democrats are doing right now is essentially trying to save face. The fact that they even understand that they need to save face on this topic, the fact that they are making it publicly known that they've messed up on this topic, guys, that is a huge admission when it comes to politics, and I believe like people like Gary Gensler are dead in the water. I don't think they're ever going to last. I think we've really made it past the worst of what we're going to see in this industry, and I think the rest is really going to be up and to the right. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate you guys all so much. Can't wait to be back to the regularly scheduled content. It's been a great vacation, but honestly, and I say this all the time, my favorite part of my day is getting to do live streams, talk with you guys, and just really help people navigate this complex industry. I can't wait to get back to it. Guys, thank you so much, and for now, Mickle out.